The massive warship, Sovereign Fang, hung in the dark space above Mars, its metallic hull gleaming under the distant sunlight. Commander Stone stood at the bridge's viewing window, his scaled hands clasped behind his back. His yellow eyes narrowed as he studied the red planet below. "Report," he ordered, his deep voice echoing across the bridge. Officer Reed, his second in command, stepped forward with a data tablet. "Our scans show the human facility is hidden beneath the surface of Olympus Mons, sir. They're clearly trying to hide something important." Stone's tail swished slowly behind him, a sign of his growing interest. The Crest military had conquered 3 star systems in the past year, but Earth had proven different. These humans were clever, far too clever for such a young species. "Show me the energy readings again," Stone commanded, turning to face the main screen. The display lit up with complex patterns that made no sense to their best analysts. Whatever the humans had built in that facility, it was unlike anything the Crest had encountered before. "Sir," Reed spoke up, "our spies report they call it the MEP facility, clearly a code name. The humans are protecting it more carefully than any of their other military installations." Stone clicked his jaw thoughtfully, a habit he'd developed during his 300 years of military service. The Crest were a proud species, evolved from the apex predators of their homeworld. They understood power, respected strength. But these humans, they were full of surprises. "What do we know about their other weapons?" Stone asked, walking to his command chair. The seat adjusted to accommodate his large frame and thick tail. "That's the strange part, Commander," Reed replied, bringing up more data. "Their conventional weapons are primitive, projectile weapons, basic energy shields, nothing that should worry us. But every time we engage them directly, something unexpected happens." Stone remembered the reports. 3 Crest scout ships had disappeared near Earth's moon. A ground force had retreated in chaos from a human colony on Venus. No deaths, no destruction. The troops had simply withdrawn. It made no sense. "And this facility," Stone continued, "you believe it houses their secret weapon?" "Yes, sir. All data points to it. The energy signatures are unlike anything in our database, and the security measures are extreme." Reed paused before adding, "There's something else, sir. The humans don't seem afraid. Every species we've encountered showed fear when facing our fleet. These humans, they almost seem amused." Stone's scales bristled slightly. In all his years of combat, he'd learned to trust his instincts. Something was different here. The humans were protecting something in that facility, something they believed gave them an advantage over even the mighty Crest Empire. "Prepare my personal strike team," Stone ordered, rising from his chair. "I will lead this mission myself." The bridge crew looked at their commander with surprise. It was unusual for someone of his rank to join a ground assault, but Stone had not maintained his position by being predictable. "Sir," Reed protested, "the regulations state." "The regulations," Stone cut him off, "were written by those who never faced an enemy like this. Whatever weapon the humans are hiding, I want to see it with my own eyes." He turned to face his crew, his powerful frame casting a long shadow across the bridge. "Sometimes, to understand your enemy, you must stand before them." As his crew rushed to prepare for the mission, Stone returned to the viewing window. Mars grew larger in the view, its dusty surface hiding whatever secret the humans had buried there. In a few hours, he would know what weapon gave these primitive beings such confidence. Little did Stone know, he was about to encounter something that would challenge everything his species believed about power, warfare, and the very nature of strength itself. The red dust of Mars swirled around Stone's strike team as they approached the entrance to the MAP facility. Their combat armor gleamed under the pale sunlight, weapons ready. Stone led from the front, his tall frame casting a long shadow across the rocky ground. "Security systems are basic," reported Tech Officer Lane, his claws dancing across a portable scanner. "Almost too basic for a weapon facility." Stone's eyes narrowed behind his helmet visor. Everything about this mission felt wrong. His centuries of combat experience screamed that they were missing something obvious. The humans had hidden their greatest weapon here, yet the defenses were minimal. "Breach the door," Stone ordered. 2 soldiers stepped forward with cutting tools, but before they could start, the massive door simply slid open. Standing in the doorway was a human female in a white coat. She showed no fear, which made Stone even more suspicious. "I'm Dr. Gray," she said calmly. "We've been expecting you." Stone's soldiers raised their weapons, but the doctor just smiled. "Please come in. I'll show you what you came to see." The commander's tail twitched with irritation. This had to be a trap, yet his mission demanded he investigate. "Secure the facility," he ordered his team. "I want every corner checked." They moved through clean, white corridors that looked more like a research center than a weapons facility. The sounds that reached Stone's sensitive ears were strange. Not the hum of energy weapons or the clash of metal, but soft noises he couldn't identify. "Your species has been very interested in our NAP facility," Dr. Gray said as she led them deeper inside. "Though I think you've misunderstood its purpose. We know you're hiding weapons here," Stone growled. "Our sensors detected unusual energy patterns." Dr. Gray stopped at a large window looking into a spacious room. "Ah, those would be from our training sessions. See for yourself." Stone stepped forward, expecting to see devastating technology. Instead, he saw something that made no sense: a large open space with obstacles, tunnels, and various objects scattered around. And moving through this space were— "What are those creatures?" Lane asked, his voice filled with confusion. "Dogs," Dr. Gray answered proudly. "MAP stands for Military Animal Program. These are Earth canines, specifically trained for search and rescue operations." Stone watched as the furry creatures moved through the facility with purpose. Some were large, others small, but all showed an intelligence that caught his attention. They worked in pairs or small groups, solving problems and completing tasks. "This is impossible," Stone declared. "Our intelligence indicated this was your most secure weapons facility." Dr. Gray laughed softly. "Well, these fellows are pretty special, but they're not weapons. They're partners, humanity's oldest friends." As if to prove her point, a large golden-furred creature trotted up to the window, its tail moving in a rhythmic motion. Stone had never seen anything like it. The creature's eyes held intelligence, but not aggression. It made a soft sound that his translator couldn't interpret. "That's Max," Dr. Gray said. "He's one of our best. Would you like to meet him?" Before Stone could respond, one of his soldiers spoke up. "Commander, facility sweep is complete. No weapons found. Just more of these, dogs and training equipment." Stone felt his world tilting. The crest had conquered worlds, shattered armies, but here they stood, confused by creatures that showed no aggression, no fear, just interest. "This is what you're protecting," Stone demanded. "These furry beings." "Protecting? No, Commander. We're working with them. These dogs are helping us explore Mars, search for resources, and build our colonies. They're not our servants or our weapons. They're our teammates." Stone stared at Max, who continued to watch him with those strange, warm eyes. In all his years of conquest, he had never encountered anything like this. The human concept of partnership with another species was completely foreign to his warrior culture. "Would you like to see what they can do?" Dr. Gray asked, her hand moving toward the door controls. Stone found himself nodding. Though every instinct told him this would change everything he thought he knew about power and strength. Dr. Gray typed a code into the door panel, and Stone felt his soldiers tense behind him. The massive glass door slid open with a soft hiss. The golden-furred creature called Max sat patiently on the other side, still watching them with those strange, gentle eyes. "This is ridiculous," Stone growled, his warrior pride taking over. "If you're hiding your weapons behind these creatures, then prove it. Unleash the beast." Dr. Gray raised an eyebrow. Commander, I've been trying to tell you. They're not weapons. Max is a search and rescue dog. He helps find people in dangerous situations. Then why protect this facility so carefully? Stone's tail lashed in frustration. Why all the secrecy? Because they're valuable members of our Mars colony program, Dr. Gray explained patiently. But if you insist. She turned to Max. Go say hello, boy. What happened next would be talked about in Crest military circles for years to come. Max, instead of attacking or showing any sign of aggression, bounded forward with pure joy. His tail wagged so fast it became a blur, and his mouth opened in what Stone would later learn was a doggy smile. Stone's soldiers raised their weapons, but Max ignored them completely. He trotted right up to the commander, sat down, and lifted one paw in greeting. What is it doing? Stone asked, his usual commanding voice now uncertain. He wants to shake hands, Dr. Gray said, trying to hide her amusement. It's how dogs greet friends. Friends? The word felt foreign in Stone's mouth. The Crest didn't have friends. They had allies, subordinates, or enemies. Nothing in between. Cautiously, following Dr. Gray's guidance, Stone reached down and took Max's paw. The dog's tail wagged even faster, and he let out a happy woof that made several soldiers jump. This is your beast? Lane asked, lowering his weapon in confusion. This is what you're protecting. Watch, Dr. Gray said. She pulled out a small device and pressed a button. A series of beeps echoed through the facility. Immediately, Max's demeanor changed. He stood up, alert but still calm, and looked at Dr. Gray expectantly. We have a missing person scenario, she explained. Max, search. The transformation was remarkable. Max moved with purpose, his nose to the ground, tracking something the aliens couldn't detect. He weaved through the training course with impressive speed and precision, finally stopping at a hidden compartment. There, he found a training dummy and barked to signal his success. Impressive, Stone admitted, watching as Max returned to them, proud but still gentle. But how is this better than scanning technology? Dogs can go where machines can't, Dr. Gray explained. They can think independently, make decisions, and most importantly, they care about the people they're helping. They've saved countless lives here on Mars, finding people trapped in dust storms or cave-ins. As if understanding he was being praised, Max returned to Stone and leaned gently against his leg. The commander froze, experiencing something entirely new, unconditional acceptance from another living being. But they're not bred for combat, Stone asked, his hand unconsciously moving to pat Max's head. They can be trained for military purposes, Dr. Gray acknowledged, but that's not what makes them special. What makes them extraordinary is their capacity for love and loyalty. Stone looked down at Max, who gazed back with complete trust. In that moment, something shifted in the commander's understanding of power. Here was a creature that could track, fight, and survive in harsh conditions. Yet its greatest strength was its ability to form bonds with others. I think, Stone said slowly, his voice thoughtful, we may have made a significant error in our assessment of Earth's capabilities. He continued to pet Max, who had now rolled over to expose his belly, showing complete trust to a being from another world. Dr. Gray smiled. Sometimes the greatest strength isn't in the ability to destroy, but in the courage to trust and the capacity to care. Stone sat in Dr. Gray's office, watching through the window as his soldiers interacted with more dogs. Max remained by his side, head resting contentedly on the commander's boot. The sight of elite Crest warriors being taught to throw balls and give treats was not something he had ever expected to see. I don't understand, Stone admitted, his usual military formality slipping. You said these creatures were once wolves, fierce predators like my own ancestors. How did they become this? He gestured at Max, who responded with a gentle tail wag. Dr. Gray pulled up some images on her screen. This is what dogs looked like thousands of years ago, she explained, showing pictures of wolves. Fierce, independent predators. But then they met humans. Stone leaned forward, his scaled features reflecting the screen's light. And you conquered them? No, Dr. Gray smiled. We befriended them. Over thousands of years, we lived and worked together. They helped us hunt, protected our homes, and gradually, they changed. We changed too. Lane, who had been quietly taking notes, spoke up. Changed how? Through genetic manipulation. Through selective breeding and mutual trust. Dr. Gray corrected. We didn't force them to change. We created partnerships. Those wolves that were friendlier to humans got more food, more protection, better chances to survive and have puppies. Over time, they evolved to understand human emotions, to want to work with us. Stone's tail twitched thoughtfully. On my world, we evolved from pack hunters too, but we never. He paused, struggling with the concept. We never considered partnership with lesser species, only dominance. That's the fascinating thing, Dr. Gray said, pulling up more images. Dogs aren't lesser beings. They're different. They can do things we can't. Their sense of smell, their ability to understand human emotions, their capacity for unconditional love. These aren't weaknesses. They're strengths. As if to demonstrate, Max stood up and pressed his nose against Stone's hand, sensing the commander's confusion and offering comfort. Stone found himself automatically stroking the dog's soft fur, an action that somehow made his thoughts clearer. But you're military, Stone pressed. Surely they wanted to use these abilities for combat, to create weapons. Dr. Gray shook her head. We learned something important from dogs. The strongest bonds aren't created through fear or dominance. They're built on trust and mutual respect. Yes, some dogs work with our military, but as partners, not weapons. They choose to help us because they want to, not because they're forced to. Through the window, Stone watched as one of his youngest soldiers laughed. Actually laughed, while a small spotted dog performed tricks for treats. The soldier's tail, usually held rigid in proper military posture, swayed with genuine joy. In crest culture, Stone said slowly, we believe that strength comes from power over others. That's why we couldn't understand your facility. We were looking for weapons because that's all we know. And what do you see now? Dr. Gray asked gently. Stone looked down at Max, then back at his soldiers. I see connection. These dogs, they make us feel something we've never. He struggled to find the right words. In all our conquests, no species has ever simply offered friendship without submission. That's what makes dogs special, Dr. Gray explained. They're loyal not because they have to be, but because they choose to be. They protect not because they're ordered to, but because they care. A loud bark of joy from the training area drew their attention. Another crest soldier had successfully taught a dog to sit and was practically glowing with pride. Stone realized he had never seen his warriors look so peaceful. Commander, Lane said hesitantly, I believe we may need to reconsider our entire approach to interspecies relations. Stone nodded, feeling Max's steady presence against his leg. The dog looked up at him with those wise, gentle eyes, and the commander understood that he was experiencing something that would change his people forever. Dr. Gray, he said finally, I would very much like to learn more about how humans and dogs achieved this partnership. A week had passed since the first encounter at the MAP facility. The crest warship Sovereign Fang remained in Mars orbit, but its mission had changed completely. Where warriors once prepared for battle, they now took turns visiting the facility to learn about Earth's canine companions. Stone stood in his private quarters, watching Mars through the viewing window. Max lay on a specially made bed nearby, a sight that would have been unthinkable just days ago. Dr. Gray had allowed the dog to stay with Stone as part of what she called pet therapy. Commander, Officer Reed's voice came through the intercom. The High Command is demanding an update on our mission status. Stone sighed, rubbing the spot between his eyes. Tell them. Tell them we're still investigating the human facility. Sir, Reed hesitated. They're receiving reports from the crew. About the dogs. About changes in our warriors. Stone looked down at Max, who thumped his tail against the floor in response. The changes were impossible to deny. His fierce warriors now spoke in softer voices. They shared stories about their favorite dogs. Some even requested permission to bring dogs aboard the ship. Let them come see for themselves, Stone decided. Perhaps it's time our leaders learned what we have. Hours later, Stone walked into the facility's main training area. The sight still amazed him. Crest soldiers, known across the galaxy for their ferocity, sitting on the floor while dogs snuggled against them. Their natural predatory instincts had given way to something gentler. Your species is changing, Dr. Gray observed, joining him. Faster than I expected. We're remembering something, Stone replied quietly. Something we lost long ago in our drive for dominance. He watched as a young soldier shared his meal ration with a small brown dog. The ability to care without expecting submission in return. Suddenly, alarms blared through the facility. Warning, dust storm approaching, an automated voice announced. The dogs immediately became alert, moving with purpose. Perfect timing, Dr. Gray said. You can see them in action. We have several maintenance crews out in the northern sector. Stone watched in amazement as the dogs organized themselves, each paired with a human handler. Max stood up, looking at Stone expectantly. He wants you to go with him, Dr. Gray explained. He's chosen you as his partner. Something swelled in Stone's chest, an emotion he couldn't name. Without hesitation, he followed Max to the equipment area. Under Dr. Gray's guidance, he helped secure Max's protective gear for the Martian surface. Together, they moved out into the storm. The red dust swirled around them, but Max moved confidently forward, his powerful nose cutting through the chaos. Stone followed, trusting the dog completely. Another first for a Crest commander. They found the maintenance crew sheltering in a small cave. Max's wagging tail and happy bark told Stone they were alive before his sensors could confirm it. The crew's relief at seeing them was obvious. Good boy, Stone found himself saying, the words feeling right somehow. Max pressed against his leg, sharing warmth and comfort even through the protective suit. Back at the facility, after the rescue, Stone received a message from his homeworld. The High Command was not pleased with the contamination of their warriors by these Earth creatures. They ordered immediate withdrawal. Stone looked around the room. His soldiers were helping clean the dogs after the rescue, their movements gentle and caring. Some were learning about proper food and care from the human handlers. Others were simply sitting quietly, experiencing the peace that came from unconditional acceptance. Sir, Reed waited for orders, his own hand resting on the head of a black and white dog. What should I tell them? Stone straightened his uniform. Tell them. He paused, watching Max demonstrate a rescue technique to a group of fascinated young warriors. Tell them that the Crest Empire is about to learn a very important lesson about true strength. Max looked up at him and wagged his tail, as if saying he'd be right there to help teach that lesson. The message from Crest High Command played on the main screen of the Sovereign Fang. Commander Stone, you have 24 hours to terminate this experiment and return your ship to normal military operations. These Earth creatures are corrupting our warriors. Any who resist will face immediate court-martial. Stone switched off the screen, his claws tapping thoughtfully on his command chair. Behind him, Max sat quietly, somehow understanding the seriousness of the moment. The bridge crew watched their commander, waiting. Sir, Reed spoke up. The other ships are reporting similar situations. The knowledge about dogs has spread through the fleet. Some crews are already. He paused, choosing his words carefully, questioning our traditional ways. Stone nodded. Word had traveled fast. Videos of Crest warriors playing with dogs, stories of the rescue operations, tales of the strange peace these creatures brought. They had spread like wildfire through the battle fleet. "How many ships have dogs aboard now?" Stone asked. 17, sir," Lane reported from his station. "The Earth authorities have been surprisingly helpful in arranging adoptions." A small smile crossed Stone's scaled face. The humans had understood exactly what would happen once the Crest warriors met their canine companions. This was a revolution, not with weapons, but with wagging tails and unconditional love. "Commander," a young officer called out, "incoming transmission from the Victory Claw. Captain Thunder requests to speak privately." The screen lit up, showing another Crest commander. Behind him, Stone could see a German shepherd sleeping peacefully in a corner of the bridge. "Stone," Thunder's voice was low, "tell me you're not going to obey these orders." "They don't understand," Stone replied. "They haven't experienced it themselves." "My crew refuses to give up their dogs," Thunder said. "And honestly, so do I." His hand drifted down to scratch his companion's ears. "These creatures, they've taught us something we never knew we were missing." More screens lit up. Other ship commanders joined the conversation, each with similar stories. Their crews had changed. The old ways of pure military discipline seemed empty now that they had experienced something different. Dr. Gray's voice came over the intercom. "Commander Stone, you might want to see this." The main screen switched to a view of Earth's internet. Videos were spreading rapidly. Crest warriors teaching their dogs new tricks, dogs helping with ship maintenance, even footage of the recent Mars rescue operation. The comments were overwhelmingly positive. Humans worldwide were celebrating this unexpected connection between species. "Sir," Reed said softly, "what are your orders?" Stone stood up, Max instantly at his side. "Send a message to every ship in the fleet. Tell them." He looked down at his furry companion, remembering how much had changed in such a short time. "Tell them that the Crest Empire faces a choice. We can remain as we are, feared conquerors, alone in our strength, or we can learn what these humans and their dogs have been trying to teach us." "And the High Command's orders?" Lane asked. "Tell them we need more time to study Earth's secret weapon." Stone smiled. "After all, they're not entirely wrong. These dogs are changing everything, just not in the way anyone expected." The next few hours were busy. Ships repositioned themselves, crews communicated, plans were made. The revolution wasn't fought with weapons or warships, but with shared stories, with pictures of fierce warriors learning to be gentle, with videos of dogs bringing joy to beings from another world. When the 24-hour deadline arrived, Stone stood on his bridge, Max at his feet, and delivered a simple message to High Command. "We have learned that true strength lies not in domination, but in connection. The dogs of Earth have taught us this. We will not abandon them, or this lesson. If you wish to understand, come and meet them yourselves. If you wish to fight, remember, you're not just facing warriors now. You're facing warriors who have learned how to care." Max barked once, as if adding his own approval to the message. Around the bridge, the crew stood straighter, prouder. They were no longer just soldiers. They were something new, something better. 3 months after Commander Stone's message to High Command, the Mars facility looked very different. Where once it had been a simple training center, it now served as the first Crest-human interspecies exchange center. The formerly military facility bustled with activity as Crest civilians mixed with human dog trainers. Stone walked through the main hall, Max trotting happily beside him. His military uniform had been replaced with the new diplomatic corps outfit, though he still carried himself with a warrior's pride. The difference was that now his strength came from connection rather than intimidation. "Commander," Dr. Gray called out, waving from a doorway. "The High Command representatives are here." Stone nodded, straightening his collar. This was the moment they had worked towards. After weeks of negotiation, the Crest leadership had finally agreed to visit Earth and see these changes for themselves. The meeting room fell silent as 3 elderly Crest leaders walked in. Their scales showed the pale colors of age, and their eyes held centuries of military tradition. They looked around the room with barely hidden disapproval. "So," High General Claus spoke first, "this is what has corrupted our finest warriors." Before Stone could respond, the door opened again. A group of puppies from the facility's newest training program tumbled in, followed by their mother. The smallest pup, still clumsy on its feet, wandered straight up to the High General and sat down, looking up with innocent eyes. The old warrior froze. The puppy tilted its head, then gently placed a paw on the general's boot. The room held its breath. "This," General Claw's voice wavered, "this is the weapon that defeated our mighty empire." "Not defeated," Stone corrected gently. "Changed. Watch." He signaled, and the doors opened again. Crest warriors entered, each with their dog partners. They demonstrated search and rescue techniques, showing how their natural hunting instincts worked perfectly alongside the dog's abilities. Then came the civilian teams, scientists working with dogs to explore Mars, engineers whose canine companions helped maintain equipment in dangerous conditions. "We haven't become weak," Stone explained. "We've become more. These creatures haven't taken away our strength. They've shown us how to use it differently." As if on cue, Max performed a complex rescue demonstration, working seamlessly with Stone. The puppy watching the High General gave an excited yip, trying to copy the older dog's movements. "Our empire was built on fear," Stone continued. "But look around. See how much more we can accomplish with trust." Dr. Gray stepped forward. "We're prepared to establish similar facilities across Crest's space. Think of it: joint exploration teams, search and rescue operations, scientific research, all enhanced by the partnership between our species and theirs." She gestured to the dogs. The High General looked down again at the puppy, who now lay trustingly across his feet. His hand, marked with the scars of countless battles, slowly reached down. The puppy immediately licked his fingers, causing the ancient warrior to make a sound no one had ever heard before: a laugh. "Perhaps," General Claw said slowly, "it is time for the Crest Empire to evolve." The change that swept through the room was palpable. Warriors relaxed, dogs wagged their tails, and even the other high command members began to show interest in the puppies. Stone felt Max press against his leg, offering silent support as always. He remembered his own first meeting with this remarkable creature, how it had changed everything. He thought he knew about strength and power. "We're establishing a new division," Stone announced, "the Interspecies Cooperation Force. Our mission won't be conquest, it will be connection. Learning from each other, growing together." The puppy had managed to climb into the High General's lap, completely ignoring centuries of military protocol. The old warrior didn't seem to mind. "You know," General Claw said, scratching behind the puppy's ears, "when we ordered you to unleash the beast, this isn't quite what we meant." "No," Stone agreed, watching as more puppies made friends with the other officials. "It's better." Max barked once, as if saying mission accomplished, and the room filled with laughter. Human and Crest together, united by the simple, profound love of their canine friends.